A man had just been discharged from the military and returned home. He discovered that his wife had taken a lover. She offered no explanation. His wife directly handed him a divorce agreement. She expected a huge argument, but the man wasn't angry at all. Instead, he turned and left happily.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
This left his wife completely bewildered. The reason was, just a few days prior, Paul met a strange girl on a train. She was alone, trying to put her luggage on the overhead rack, but she accidentally dropped the suitcase. Out of politeness, Paul tried to help her. However, the train suddenly started moving. This brought the two of them closer together again. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Once he realized what happened, he quickly stood up. He didn't notice he had picked up the wrong ticket. To make things even more awkward, the girl, after standing up, vomited all over him. Paul was caught off guard. He had no choice but to go to the restroom to clean his clothes, but he just encountered the ticket inspector. Because he had the wrong ticket earlier, Paul was helplessly forced off the train. He could only take a bus to his destination. As soon as he boarded the bus, everyone looked at him with disdain, because he smelled. But coincidentally, he encountered the girl again on this bus. Learning that Paul was kicked off because of the ticket, Lisa then realized she had taken his ticket by mistake.
I thought it was a mistake. I'm so sorry.
They were chatting happily when two troublemakers got on the bus, facing their unwanted advances. Lisa was visibly annoyed. Even so, they paid no attention and persisted. They even put a hand on her shoulder. Paul tried to reason with them politely, but was met with a punch. Although he played the hero saving the beauty, he was consequently kicked off the bus. Lisa looked through the rear window, her eyes full of guilt and reluctance. Kicked off the bus, Paul had no choice but to continue on foot. Perhaps it was fate. Paul encountered Lisa once again. In just one short day, they had met 3 times, but this time, Lisa was different from before. She was sitting on her suitcase, crying incessantly. After repeated questioning, he found out that Lisa had been deceived by her professor boyfriend. She was now pregnant and had been heartlessly abandoned. If her strict father found out, he would surely beat her to death. Paul had a sudden idea. That is to have Lisa bring a fake husband home for one night, then leave a breakup letter and slip away unnoticed by everyone. In this way, everyone will only sympathize with Lisa's situation. However, this plan has a drawback.
There's nobody.
Miss Aragon, there's me.
Paul agreed to this unusual request because of his own troubled marriage. After 4 years of military service, he returned home to find his wife indifferent. She hadn't opened any of his letters, and immediately sent him out in uniform to sell chocolates. Seeing this as a chance to reflect on his life, Paul decided to help Lisa while contemplating his future. And so, Paul accompanied Lisa to her hometown. It was a vast vineyard, as beautiful as a place growing among the clouds. To make the act more convincing, Paul took a chocolate foil wrapper and used it as a wedding ring on Lisa's finger. Seeing Paul being so attentive, Lisa couldn't help but feel a flicker of affection for him, but a gunshot shattered the pleasant atmosphere. Paul's first instinct was to shield Lisa with his body.
Don't shoot.
Hello, Papa.
Who's this?
My husband.
Her father was furious. His family was prestigious. He believed his daughter must marry someone of equal social status. Upon learning Paul was just a chocolate salesman, the whole family exchanged uneasy glances. The father asked the respected grandfather to decide. Unexpectedly, Grandpa welcomed Paul's arrival. During the evening meal, Lisa's father inquired about Paul's background. Paul said he was born in an orphanage. He had never seen his parents since childhood. This made the father look down on Paul even more. He thought Paul was just a poor boy, completely unworthy of his daughter. The harsh words made Paul feel extremely uncomfortable. He could only force a smile, and quickly left the table. Although it was all pretend, being called worthless still saddened Paul somewhat. Lisa followed him out to apologize, but Paul said he understood her father's perspective. From a father's standpoint, no one would be willing to marry their daughter to a man who has nothing. Besides, he would be leaving tomorrow anyway. That night, the mother changed their bedsheets and placed a rose by the bedside, wishing them a long and happy life together. As soon as the mother left, Paul made a bed on the floor. He was just about to turn off the light and sleep when the father knocked on the door. Paul quickly jumped onto the bed. They flustered, pretending to be affectionate with each other, but as the father was leaving, he still saw the quilt fallen on the floor, arousing a sliver of suspicion in his mind. Fearing the father might return, they decided to share the bed for now. The moment their eyes met, they almost fell in love. But as soon as Paul fell asleep, his old nightmare resurfaced in his mind. With the sound of an explosion, he suddenly woke up from the dream. He told Lisa this was a leftover effect from the war, a recurring nightmare he couldn't shake. Suddenly, a bell sounded outside. It was a danger signal. Due to an incoming cold wave, the grapes in the vineyard could be damaged. Their only recourse was to light bonfires to save them, using the rising warm smoke to drive away the frost. Under Lisa's guidance, Paul quickly learned the method, and so they worked in tandem, swaying through the vineyard like two dancing butterflies. The father, watching the seemingly perfect pair, felt a surge of mixed emotions. By daybreak, Paul prepared to leave after saying goodbye to Lisa, and Lisa had no reason to ask him to stay. She knew clearly this man did not belong to her. She thought it was over like this, but the early rising grandfather stopped him, saying he wanted to take him to a sacred place. Grandpa took him to the deepest part of the vineyard. This was the root of the cloudscape. All the grapevines originated from this ancient grape tree. The wise grandfather knew that for Paul, who grew up in an orphanage, he lacked a sense of belonging in his heart. Grandpa also playfully asked him for chocolate. ate it all, and said with a sly smile, "Now you can't go out to sell chocolate." Then he took Paul to the family's annual harvest day. It was the most important day for the clan, and Grandpa hoped he could participate. Paul couldn't bear to refuse, so he decided to stay one more day. Seeing Paul hadn't left, Lisa was very happy.
I thought it would be better for you if I stuck around. At least until the harvest.
But her stern father still mocked him.
Don't you have chocolates to sell?
Family comes first.
Out of youthful pride, he competed with Lisa's father to see who could harvest faster. Both secretly strove to outdo the other, neither willing to fall behind. Everyone watching couldn't help but laugh. Although Paul still lost to the father, his unyielding spirit successfully made the father view him in a new light. After harvesting came the winemaking. The women danced joyfully on the grapes. This was an ancient winemaking method, believed to give the wine more character. Once all the juice was pressed out, and after processing, a glass of pure, fine wine was presented before everyone. Watching Lisa's smiling face, Paul was deeply captivated. Amid the crowd's enthusiasm, he was also thrown into the sea of grapes. They sang together, they danced together. Their feelings for each other rapidly grew warmer. Finally, they couldn't help but embrace. They ran into a bedroom, and were just about to fall in love. But Paul suddenly calmed down. He was a married man. To avoid hurting Lisa, Paul felt it was time to leave. But to stop him, the grandmother willfully washed his army uniform, which he cared about deeply. Just then, Lisa felt a pain in her abdomen. Paul hurried forward to check on her, but Lisa pushed him away. After all, Paul couldn't help forever. If he couldn't promise a happy future, what was the point of just clinging to a brief romance? Moreover, the longer he stayed, the deeper the hurt would be for both. He hardened his heart and decided to leave. Paul set off on his journey home again, but unexpectedly, Grandpa stopped him once more. This time, he didn't have a special reason. He just wanted to drink with Paul until they were drunk. After several rounds, the two sang romantic folk songs. Finally, urged by the alcohol, Grandpa took him under Lisa's window. Grandpa also told him a secret. If a man sings under a woman's window, and she turns on the light, it means she entrusts her life to him. Upstairs, Lisa was also overwhelmed with emotions, and at that moment, Paul sobered up. He was a married man. He ultimately chose to leave. After walking out of the village, he suddenly stopped. Turning around, he looked back. Lisa had turned on the light for him, but he could not go against his responsibility and duty as a man. He could only painfully choose to leave. The next day, the town held a grand harvest ceremony. The two met again at the bus station. Then, Lisa's father walked over. After these past few days together, he had come to approve of this young man. He even announced before the whole clan that a grand wedding would be held that evening. But by now, they couldn't keep up the pretense. Lisa confessed everything to her family. This was a deep blow to her father. On the journey home, the drowsy Paul fell asleep on the bus again. He had the battlefield dream once more, but unlike before, when he pushed open the gate of the ruined orphanage, what met his eyes was Lisa, together with a child, as beautiful as walking among the clouds. Finally, he returned home. However, everything before him left him at a loss. It turned out his wife had already fallen for someone else, and presented him with a divorce agreement already prepared. Once he signed it, Paul would be free. Seeing Paul so calm, his wife thought he was in shock. Little did she know, at this moment, he was like a trapped bird that had escaped its cage. He rushed back to the cloudscape he had been dreaming of. He arrived at Lisa's house overnight, but when her father saw him, he flew into a rage. Even though Paul showed the divorce papers, her father no longer believed him. He still believed Paul had intended to deceive Lisa from the very beginning. He threw the kerosene lamp in his hand at Paul, but accidentally threw it into the vineyard. The glass shattered, and the flames instantly ignited the vineyard. Paul desperately tried to put out the fire, but it was all in vain. The fire quickly spread to the entire estate. Watching the entire estate be consumed by the fire, everyone's hearts were filled with despair, because this was their only means of survival. The fire lasted until dawn. The family's work of many years was destroyed. The father fell into deep self-blame. Lisa slowly walked up to him.
I was afraid. I was afraid of losing you.
The merciless fire had burned everything, but it allowed father and daughter to reconcile. Suddenly, Paul seemed to remember something. He quickly ran to the top of the hill. With great effort, he pulled out the ancient grapevine root, because Grandpa had told him all the grapevines grew because of it. It was like an ancestor. As long as it was there, it could cultivate new generations of saplings. Upon careful inspection, the father found the fire hadn't harmed its root. This meant restoring the vineyard was just a matter of time. And by now, Lisa's father had been moved by Paul's sincerity and courage. He held no more reservations against him.
You are bound to this land and to this family.
Having gained the father's approval, Paul once again placed that ring onto Lisa's finger, witnessed by the entire family. The two embraced each other tightly. In this dreamlike, colorful vineyard, Paul had found his roots in life.